super excited to be here, and I know you are too. I'm excited to be here because every opportunity to learn is an opportunity to grow. Remember that the illiterate of this century will not be those who cannot read and write, but rather those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Before we proceed, we would like to meet you. So kindly introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us who you are, what you do, where you're joining us from, and your expectations from the session. I'm looking forward to an exciting session today with three distinguished consultants with many years of experience as they share in-depth tips on how we can make positive changes in our daily routines to improve our overall health and well-being, how we can manage and deal with the stressors in the environment. We know that a whole lot is happening in Nigeria, and people are dealing with a whole lot. They'll also be sharing tips on the benefits of eating right for a healthier, better, and more fulfilling life. The program has been broken down into 3 sessions. Each session will be handled by one of our consultants, and there will be Q&A time after each session. So drop your questions in the chat or ask them directly when it is time. We'd also observe a 5-minute bathroom break after the second session. As much as possible, let's make the session very interactive. So let's engage in the chat, drop your comments, share your learnings, and whatever resonates with you. After all, we're all here to learn from each other. Do not forget to reduce the distractions by always muting your microphones and having your cameras turned off, except when you have to speak. My name is Nkechinyere Ojiego, but you can call me NK to make it easier for you. I am the head of Training Academy for First City Monument Bank, and I'm super excited to anchor this session today. At this point, please permit me to introduce our convener, WIMBIZ, to you. WIMBIZ is the acronym for Women in Business, Women in Management, Business, and Public Service. WIMBIZ is a non-profit organization that has, over the last 23 years, implemented programs that inspire, empower, and advocate for greater representation of women in leadership positions in the public and private sector. WIMBIZ is also a business membership organization funded largely by donations and contributions by members and partners, and is a supporter for the Code of Ethics and Conduct for NGOs, as non-government organizations. For more information about WIMBIZ, because I'm optimistic that after today's session, a whole lot of us will join WIMBIZ. So for more information about WIMBIZ, please visit www.wimbiz.org. We'll drop it in the chat. We would like to thank our sponsor, Bridge Clinic, for supporting the February edition of the 2024 e-Roundtable event. At the end of the session, a link will be shared for a quick evaluation. Your feedback is golden to us, so please indulge us by completing the evaluation by clicking the link after the session. We want to get better with our other sessions. We also kindly invite our dear participants who are not WIMBIZ associates to join us today. So for inquiries, please contact us via membership@wimbiz.org. At this juncture, I would like to invite Mrs. Tai Oshisoya, Chair 2024 Advocacy Committee, WIMBIZ, for the opening remarks. Ma, if you can hear me, by all means, you have the floor now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, NK, for that ending and enduring opening speech. Thank you very much. Please, you are welcome to this month's edition of the WIMBIZ e-Roundtable event, sponsored by the Bridge Clinic. Thank you very much. The WIMBIZ Roundtable aims at bringing together dynamic women in business and management to share their experiences, ideas, and opinions on issues concerning women in their career and business pursuits. It is a collaborative and interactive forum where women, typically experts or stakeholders, come together to engage in open and equal dialogue. It is attended both virtually and physically by women from various and diverse sectors. Now to today's session. In an era marked with sedentary lifestyles, we can all attest to that, unhealthy dietary habits, and increasing rates of chronic diseases, the importance of emphasizing and embracing a healthy lifestyle cannot be overemphasized. The concept of a healthy lifestyle encompasses not only physical health, but also mental, emotional, and social well-being. It involves making conscious choices that promote overall wellness and vitality. Recognizing the urgency of this issue, we propose a roundtable discussion to delve into the various aspects of embracing a healthy lifestyle and to foster dialogue, exchange of ideas, and actionable strategies. I stress the word actionable strategies. By bringing together experts and practitioners from various fields, we aim to generate insights and share the best practices, but also to inspire collective action towards fostering a culture of wellness. This brief background explores the significance of empowering individuals and stakeholders across various sectors to contribute to the promotion of a healthier society. Hence, this event aims at promoting holistic well-being and to empower individuals and our communities to adapt healthy habits and lifestyles. The objective of this roundtable are: 1, to expand participants' knowledge on the importance of embracing a healthy lifestyle, cannot be overemphasized. 2, to educate participants about the interconnectedness of various aspects of well-being, so both mentally, emotionally, socially. And thirdly, to inspire participants to take concrete steps towards adopting healthier behaviors and lifestyles. I, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and Management of WIMBIZ, wish you all a rewarding and long-lasting experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Tai Oshisoya, for that amazing opening speech. We are supercharged to glean from all the insights that our consultants will be sharing with us today. So without much ado, we'll go straight into the first session for today. In the first session for today, we'll be looking at fertility awareness, and this will be taken by none other than Dr. Toyin Ajayi. Dr. Toyin Ajayi is a senior obstetrician and gynecologist with over 20 years of clinical experience in the United Kingdom, where she was trained. She's passionate about women's healthcare and about transforming healthcare in Nigeria. Permit me to welcome Dr. Toyin Ajayi, to take the floor from here. Doctor, if you can hear me, please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nkechi, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Nkechi's very fired up, so I'm also fired up now, actually. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Dr. Toyin, and I am a gynecologist and obstetrician, currently medical director of Bridge Clinic, which is a fertility clinic. So I'm going to be talking today about fertility awareness and why that's important as part of this topic of embracing a healthy lifestyle, right? So I'm going to hopefully not talk for too long, so that we have a lot of time for Q&A a bit later, because I know that that's why you're here, to ask questions and to obviously get some answers as well. I'm going to kindly ask WIMBIZ to send through the poll. I want to just take a quick poll at the beginning, just one question. If everybody can answer that question, that'd be great as a poll, and then I'll sort of go, I'll focus on that a little bit later in my discussion. So I'm going to essentially split my talk into sort of three vague sessions. The first is about some of the benefits. Why is it important to actually be aware of your fertility? How do you actually go about being aware of your fertility? And how can we take control of our fertility, which is very important as empowered women as we are in 2024. So why is it important to be aware of your fertility? Well, obviously you need to know about your own reproductive health. It's very important to ensure that you have a good reproductive health, and that starts by ensuring that you're not engaging in activities that might put your reproductive health at risk. So, for example, sexual health is very important. When you're, a bit younger, perhaps, we've got to be very aware of our sexual health, not to engage in behaviors that will put us at risk as women of contracting diseases, sexually transmitted infections that will impact your fertility in the future. Now, chlamydia is a silent one because you don't know you have chlamydia, but it's silently working to affect your reproductive organs, which will actually have an impact on you getting pregnant easily, perhaps in the future. So that's very important to take control of your sexual health. Another reason why it's important to sort of be aware of your fertility is about family planning. This is very relevant because obviously nowadays it's not the 1950s or 1940s where every woman would just get married at 20 and then become a housewife. You know, now we are empowered women, we are career women, we are independent women, you know, so we want to plan our families according to our own schedule, not what some man tells us to do. For instance, I don't want to get too controversial, you know, so it's very important to, you know, think about that as a fertility awareness issue. You know, so am I going to use contraception, for instance, to ensure that I'm not going to get pregnant when I'm still studying or doing my master's or whatever? You know, that's very important. What type of contraception you want to choose will depend on whether you want short-term protection or something more long-term. You know, do I want to look at preserving my future fertility? Egg freezing, I'll talk a bit more about this later, but that's a really, really important thing about trying to actually do things on your own time scale. So we'll go into that a bit later. And like I said, the whole point of you know, the whole benefits of fertility awareness is really, for me, empowerment. You know, you're really in control of yourself, of your sexual health, of your life, of your plan, of your future. And you can then just, you know, do things according to what you want to do, you know, and you don't have to choose between one or the other. You can be that career woman who's also a family woman, you know, and a lot of us are on that table, I believe, you know, on this platform currently, and doing it well, even though it's hard, but we're doing it well. So obviously, so hopefully the poll's gone out. I'm hoping that lots of you have responded to the poll. I will speak a bit more to the poll a bit later on in my discussion. Okay, so it's all very well knowing why it's important to be aware of your fertility. Now, how do you actually go about, you know, keeping track? What kind of things you need to do? Now, one of the very simple things is just to know your own body, you know your own menstrual cycle. Okay, I mean, that's what I mean about when I'm talking about periods, is what I mean about that. You know, we've all heard, I'm sure we can remember from school and biology in school, you know, a typical cycle is 28 days. Yeah, so some women have a 28-day cycle. And what I mean by a cycle is the first day of one period to the next day of another period. So it's usually once a month. Okay, some of us are lucky to have it regularly, some of them have it irregularly. But it's important to know, you know, what's normal for you, because that's really what determines, you know, what impact that might have on you, on your fertility going forward. So having a really clear knowledge of that is important. And it's very easy nowadays because there's so many apps, a lot of these period trackers, fertility trackers. In my day, we had to literally get our calendar and mark it down, you know, day 1, day 2, day 3. You know, we didn't have all these fancy apps and things, you know, but you're all very lucky now. You know, you can just plug in your details into the app and it will let you know, when your next period is due. It'll let you know when is your fertile window. What I mean by that, so when's the time you're most likely to get pregnant if you're trying to get pregnant? And that's usually the middle of your cycle when you release an egg, which, you know, is called ovulation. And that's kind of like your most fertile area. But all these apps, you know, there's so many of them. You just go onto Google Play or Apple Store. There are a lot of them, they're free. And you know, it's very important that you just have that knowledge to be able to just, again, empower yourself and control what you're doing yourself. Now, what I think is very important to mention is age and fertility. It's a real factor. I have one slide I want to share. If I can have that slide up, please, my first slide. That would just help represent it graphically, all right? Okay, so women, we are born with a certain number of eggs in our ovaries, okay? Our ovaries is where we produce eggs. And unfortunately for us, we cannot make any more eggs, all right? So you're born with a finite number, and that number decreases as you go through your reproductive life. And you can see by this graph that you actually have your most eggs at birth. Not very useful because you're not doing anything at birth about having a family. But around the age of 18, 19, 20 is actually when you've got your highest optimal fertility. Now, for a lot of us right now, we know that, you know, we're still maybe in university at that stage, still trying to do some schooling and get our careers off track. So, you know, I think probably, you know, maybe like 100 years ago, yeah, you know, 18, you get married and off you go. But nowadays, you know, you're not even thinking about marriage or settling down at that age of 18. But unfortunately, that is when you're optimally fertile, all right? And you can see the black line here, focus on the black line, your fertility decreases as you get older. By the time you're 35, you know, there's a sharp drop after you're 35. Now, this is quite surprising to a lot of people because a lot of us are probably just wanting to start settling down at that age, thinking about having a family at that age.
I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing anybody.
Because the videos are not on.
Yeah, can someone just mute themselves? I think we have a speaker or a participant who's unmuted. Thank you. So once you hit 35, you know, things take a bit of a sharp turn. Now, don't worry, because there are things that we can do, all right? But it's just to be aware of this, all right? And by the time you're 40, 41, you know, fertility is really, really tricky. You know, it's harder to get pregnant, and you also have a higher chance of miscarriages. So when you have this decrease in fertility as you get older, you also have a higher chance of miscarriages, because those eggs that you've had since you were a fetus in your mother's tummy are the same eggs that you might be releasing at age 41. And obviously they're older, so they're more likely to have abnormalities and, you know, and result in pregnancies that are not going to work. All right, so I just thought it's great to put this up, just a very good visual aid for us to know, you know, why it's important for us to take control, be aware, and know how age really affects fertility. Thank you so much. We can take the slide down now. Thank you. But like I said, there are things you can do, you know, wellness check. So I like to call it like a little MOT, you know, so how can I do an MOT of myself? Okay, so how can I check my fertility status? All right. And this is quite simple, you know, at British Clinic, you know, we have a service called Fertility Sure Light, where you can just check your status. You can check your hormone levels, do a quick scan, check your ovaries to make sure that, you know, you have enough eggs. All right. And this gives you a bit of an idea of where you are. A lot of couples might do this before they want to get married and settle down, you know, and you can pick up one or two things. And it might be that you know, it directs you towards maybe needing intervention, or actually it might be that actually is absolutely fine and there's no issue, and, you know, fertility wise, you're absolutely good to go. But I think it's very important just to be aware and have that option of that as well. So like a little wellness fertility check. All right. Okay, so the last bit I want to just talk quickly about is, how do I take control of my reproductive health? Okay, this is all about empowerment, all about being in control, all about doing things on my own timetable, not anybody else's timetable. All right, and obviously education and awareness, that's why we're here today. Hopefully I'm impacting someone by them learning something that they might not have known about before, in terms of their fertility, and being aware of, you know, how they can keep an eye on it, and how they can, you know, monitor that, and when they need to intervene or do anything. But I think, you know, having that education and awareness is really, really critical. Now, we live in a society that there are a lot of barriers, there's lots of stigma, a lot of cultural conceptions, misconceptions, all sorts of things go into family and planning and childbirth and marriage. You know, we all know how it is. And a lot of it is not necessarily fair, because it blames the woman all the time, whereas actually, challenges with fertility might actually be challenges with fertility is actually, you know, equally distributed. It can be from the woman or from the man. All right. But how do I, as a woman, take control of my fertility? So if you can just share my second slide, please, that'd be great, while I just talk about this area. So how can I take control of my own reproductive health as a woman? That's why I want to talk about egg freezing. Now, the poll I asked to be done at the beginning, do we have those results of the poll, so that I could just have a bit of an idea? Nkechi, would you have those results? Or
all right.
Okay, all right, great. So actually, this is really, really reassuring, because I was expecting it to be more no's than yeses. So we've got about 54% have heard of social egg freezing before, and about 46% haven't. All right, so I'm happy that at least we have heard of it, but obviously it'd be great if like 90% had heard of it and 10% had not heard of it. All right. So that's really good, because, like I said, you know, I'm here just to give a bit of information about that. So if I can have my second slide showing, please, that would be great. So egg freezing, what am I talking about? So basically, you know, you can choose to preserve your future fertility. All right. And what I mean by that is that you can collect your eggs when you're younger and use them when you're older. Now, why is this important? This is great because, like I said before, age has an impact on our eggs. All right. So if, let's say, you're, you know, 40 something, and that's when you want to start having your family, your eggs are older, all right, more likely to be subject to, you know, potential issues in actually trying to get pregnant. But if you've frozen your eggs when you were like 25 or 30, the eggs are essentially that age. So even if you're using those eggs when you're 40 something, those eggs are still only 25 years old, all right, and therefore they're in a much better state and much more likely to give you a great outcome in terms of achieving a pregnancy, all right? So that's why social egg freezing is a really, really good way to take control of your reproductive health, to plan your future, essentially, all right? Now, egg freezing is a process where basically you're collecting eggs, like I've said, the eggs that you produce from your ovaries, and you're flash freezing them very, very quickly at very, very cold temperatures to preserve them. And then they get stored away. and they can be stored for up to 10 years, and then you can come back and use them when you're ready. How do you use them? You need to do IVF, in vitro fertilization, to use your eggs. However, you know, you can still do that as a single woman, all right? So you can be a single woman who is not interested in, you know, going down the marital road, but still wants to have a baby. You've frozen your eggs maybe 6 years prior. So you come to a trusted fertility clinic like ours, we can throw out your eggs for you, and then you can pick a donor sperm, and then you undergo IVF, and hopefully you come out with a positive result. Again, you know, if you're married and you've frozen your eggs earlier on, obviously you use your husband or partner's sperm to do the process fertilization and hopefully get some good going embryos. Now, like I said, a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people don't even know it's even available in Nigeria, but it is. All right. A lot of people might think it's a bit strange for you to go and freeze your eggs. Why don't you just wait and get married? Find a man and just have a baby the normal way. Very, very easy to say, not so easy to do. All right. And like I said, this is all about you taking control of your own reproductive health. All right. So this is something that is, there's a great option for career women who are on a career track, who don't want to stop or interrupt that track because of, you know, having a baby, and who want to do something that doesn't make them feel guilty. You know, so you can do this and not feel bad. You don't think, oh wow, I'm denying my parents a grandchild. No, you know, you're gonna get your eggs, you're gonna freeze your eggs, and then whenever you're ready, whenever your career is where you want it to be, when you're more mature, when you're more financially stable, you know, these are really, really important things to consider. You can then undergo the, you can then use your frozen eggs to, you know, go through a process where you can hopefully get pregnant and have a baby. All right. So, like I said, it's all about empowering. It's all about being in control. But I know that there are a lot of cultural stigma, you know, cultural barriers to this, which is actually what I'm trying to demystify. I'm trying to debunk today, because there's absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever with a lady who is career-minded, who is independent, who is financially secure, who's not yet ready to get married, not yet ready to have a baby. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her freezing her eggs. It is safe, it is effective, you get good pregnancy results. British Clinic does do egg freezing. We can freeze your eggs for up to 10 years, and you can come and use it whenever you want, all right? So I really want everyone just to understand, if you don't take anything away apart from this, this is a viable option for you if you're not yet ready to even think about marriage, children, because whatever you're doing, you want to do your master's, you want to do some higher education, you're on a career path, you're on a track as a partner in a firm or a consultancy firm. There's nothing wrong with you doing this so that you can have the best of both worlds, which is being an independent, financially secure, you know, empowered woman, but still knowing that right in the future, I'm able to use my eggs when I am ready, as opposed to when society dictates that I should be ready. Because we're not all ready at the same time. We're all very, very different. And it's not everybody who's ready to have a baby, you know, just because they got married at the age of 25. Okay, so those are the main points I really wanted to touch on. Thank you. You can stop sharing the slide. Thank you so much. Those are the main points I wanted to touch on today. I don't want to talk too much. I want people to really ask me lots of questions, and I'm really happy to answer the questions. So I think I'll stop talking here. I've got about 2 minutes left on my stopwatch, so I've not done too badly. I'll stop talking here, and I'll allow us to look at the chats and answer some questions, if that's okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Toyin Ajayi. Please, can we appreciate Dr. Toyin? Please, yes, appreciate her. Clap for her. Use the emoji. You can unmute and clap. Thank you so much for sharing so much insight. I took notes, right? Dr. Toyin said you need to know your body. It's between ages 18 to 20 is the highest point of fertility. You can do a wellness check all by yourself. And for some of us that are like, oh, I don't want to have children. Once I get married, I want to spend some time and enjoy my marriage before I have children. You have the option of egg freezing, right? So thank you so Absolutely. Much, Dr. Toyin, once again for this insightful session. So please, we'll go straight into the Q&A time. If you have questions, I see a couple of questions in the chat. If you have questions, and if you want to ask Dr. Toyin your questions directly, please, by all means, just unmute your microphone. You can also turn on your camera so I can see your beautiful and handsome faces, and you can ask her the question. So please, I want to see the first taker, the first person to, ask the question, while I also try to extract the questions from the chat. Thank you so much.
So I can actually see one question here that I think it's been asked a few times. It's about how old you need to be to do egg freezing. So this is very, very important. So I think the person asked, I think, what if you're already in your mid to late 40s? Would you recommend egg freezing or going straight to IVF? So in terms of egg freezing, the maximum age that I would recommend is actually 35, all right? And again, because I've talked about eggs and age and how good those eggs are, okay? So if you're 40, there's probably not much point in you trying to harvest your eggs because you might not really respond that well to the treatment. Your eggs, like I said, are older, all right? Therefore, less likely to really do what you want them to do, all right? So at that stage, IVF is probably the better option. But if you're 35 and under, absolutely, egg freezing is something that's open to you. So I just saw that question jump out at me, so I thought I'd go for that.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Toyin. So if you want to ask questions, please, you can raise your hand. But I have a question here, Dr. Toyin, and if you can hear me, the question goes first. Does Bridge Clinic have the capacity to store for 10 years? Do I have the conviction that my eggs remain safe and still viable, looking at the past situation in the country? Dr. Toyin, what's your take?
That is a fantastic question. So Bridge Clinic does have the capacity to store not just eggs, sperm, embryos for 10 years, all right? We have a excellent laboratory and a cryobank where we store all the frozen gametes. And of course, we have a quality management system that does not allow us to not have power, all right? So, we have backup upon backups, and the lab is the one place in our clinic that there's uninterrupted 24-hour power supply. So there's no risk of the of the storage going off and your eggs being lost or whatever, all right? So that's really, really important, but we do have the capacity to freeze for 10 years. And, we're actually the clinic, we have the first pregnancy, the first birth from a frozen egg cycle. Somebody froze the eggs, came back and had a cycle with us and, in fact, in Nigeria, in our clinic. So we know what we're doing. We were doing it for 25 years this year. So definitely we have that capacity.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Toyin. Utana, Daniel, your hand is up. Please go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you very much for this beautiful presentation, Dr. Toyin. I have two questions actually. What is the process of egg extraction like? Is it painful? How does it work? What's the downtime? And then my second question is, how much does it cost? What's the payment like? Is it like a subscription-based payment per year, or how does it work?
Excellent questions as well, Utana. Is Daniel your first name or Utana? Daniel, maybe.
Daniel is my surname. Utana
okay,
is my
Utana.
first name.
Okay, so great question. So egg collection is not painful, all right? So you have good painkillers. So we give you sedation. So we don't, some places put you fully to sleep, but you don't need that. You just need some very strong analgesia, what's called conscious sedation. So you're very drowsy, very sleepy, and you're pain-free. And I think your second question was about cost. I will refer you to our website. We're very transparent, and all our fees are on our website. I don't know the numbers offhand. I don't keep them in my head. But if you go to our website, www.thebridgeclinic.com, we have our fees section there, and it's all very, very transparent. But we have a package where the egg collection plus the storage of the eggs for 1 year is all in one package. So it makes it much more affordable.
Thank you so much, Dr. Toyin. We have just 2 minutes more for this Q&A session. So I'm going to ask this one question. And please, we have details about Dr. Toyin. If you want to engage further beyond this session, you can actually reach out to her. Her contact details are in the chat. Okay, so Dr. Toyin, someone is saying if you're already having premenopause signs, can your eggs still be good for freezing? Will you still be producing eggs?
So that's a good question. So I think the first thing, if I'm having premenopausal signs, like some of us are, hot sweats, night sweats, hot flashes, I know what you're talking about. Probably to get a blood test to actually see whether I'm properly menopausal or not. But the reality is, if you're already having those symptoms and you're in your 40s, it's likely that you don't have much, the capacity for you to produce eggs is going to be very much lower. And also to produce good eggs is also going to be much lower. So I would not recommend freezing if you're having those symptoms, no.
All right, thank you so much. Any other persons? Do we have any more hands raised? Want to take another live question before we move straight into the second session for today? Any more? Any other person's hands raised? Any hands up? Anybody? Anybody? All right, I don't see any more hands raised. Thank you so much, Dr. Toyin. I know we have several questions in the chat. Like I said earlier, you can always reach out to Dr. Toyin after the session. The contact details of Bridge Clinic is in the chat, their info, their phone number, their address, their website. So please feel free to reach out to Dr. Toyin. Once again, thank you so much, amazing Dr. Toyin, and it's a pleasure having you here with us. Thank you. So thank you everyone. We'll move straight to the second session for today. And in the second session for today, we'll be looking at stress management. We all know what is happening in Nigeria. A lot is happening. People are dealing with so much. So we have a lot of stressors in the environment. So to take us through stress management, everything we need to know how we can manage stress will be none other than Dr. Barbara Akibua, founder, Innova Health. Dr. Barbara Akibua is a family physician and diabetes specialist with over 20 years of experience practicing medicine in Nigeria. She is driven by her passion to empower Africans to live healthy lives and rooted in her purpose to pioneer change in the healthcare delivery across Africa. So if you can hear me, Dr. Barbara, at this point, it's your time, Dr. Barbara. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Nkechi. Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm pumped up by Nkechi. You can see she's excited and she's enjoying everything that's going on. So I'm here today to talk to you about embracing a healthy lifestyle with a focus on stress management. And this is a very apt topic for today. I'm sure when we were going through the practice session, Nkechi's power went off and she had to deal with either having the generator put on or, having the inverter put on. A lot of us deal with so many things that stress us, whether it's the economy, whether it's the rising cost of living, even the current exchange rate. How many of you have been watching how much the dollar is every minute? Because it seems to be increasing every second. And you see, when we experience things that stress us, our bodies react. Our heart starts beating very fast. Our blood pressure rises. Our blood sugar rises. We feel uncomfortable. We feel threatened. And we feel that way because stress is anything that affects our well-being or our lively or our lives. And when we feel our bodies are under our attack, our bodies automatically go into what we will call the fight or flight response. And that is, simply put, your body is trying to protect itself. So it becomes hyper alert. You have more blood glucose in your bloodstream because that gives you energy in case you need to run or you need to fight off your attacker. Your blood pressure also rises because it keeps you alert. So it's a natural response, blood sugar, blood glucose, and you can see that with the common chronic diseases that people have, hypertension, diabetes. Diabetes is raised blood sugar. Hypertension is raised blood pressure. When your heart is beating faster than it should and you are anxious, you are agitated, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, when you feel overwhelmed and you don't know what to do, when it goes on for so long, depression and other psychological disorders set in. So there is a link between your body, your health, and stress. And stress is a normal part of daily life. So how do we manage stress so that we don't get chronic diseases and so that we can keep to a healthy lifestyle? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. We are mostly women here. I know that there are a few men here, so I'm going to focus on the women. Apologies to the men. I know you will still learn from what I say, but today is for the women. So I'm going to ask a question. It's not a trick question. It's going to help with the explanation I'm going to give. So I'd like you to type in the comments, which fruit do you prefer? Do you prefer mangoes or do you prefer oranges? So just go ahead and type. There's no winner or loser here. If you plant a mango seed, it will grow into a mango tree. And if you plant an orange seed, it will grow into an orange tree. Now, whether it is a mango or orange, it has certain requirements. They need the soil with nutrients. They need moisture from rainfall. They need sunshine, and they need the correct atmospheric conditions. That's why you don't see mangoes growing in, for instance, in Alaska or in places where, in Norway, where it snows a lot and it's not a temperate environment. So the mango seed or the orange seed or whatever seed has everything within it to grow into a mango tree or an orange tree. All it needs is the right environment. Now, human beings are similar. When God creates us, we have genes that, that encode or program everything about us. Our likes, our dislikes, our height, our weight, our skin color, our hair, our ideal body weight, our ideal heart rate, everything, including what we are created to do. Just the way the mango tree is created to grow into a tree and produce mangoes, we too are created for a specific purpose. And each person is unique. That's why even identical twins don't look alike. There's always something, they might look alike, but there is a difference. There's a way to identify them to see who is who. Now, how does this relate to our health and our well-being? I'm going to tell you a story about a girl called Folake. Apologies if there's any Folake on this call or on this session. I'm not talking about you, I'm just giving an example. So Folake is born to middle-class parents, and her genetic makeup, everything has been programmed for Folake to be an excellent teacher. Folake likes playing. When she's playing, she arranges her toys and, and she's teaching. I see there's a Folake here. She's teaching them. When she's playing with her little children in the neighborhood, she's teaching them. And her parents do not want Folake to be a teacher. They want Folake to live a better life. They want Folake to be a big businesswoman. They want Folake to be a big professional. They want her to be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. But Folake's programming, her purpose is to teach. It's not bad to want better than what you have for your child. Okay? So now, as Folake starts going to school, she tells her mom that when she comes back, mommy, when I grow up, I want to be a teacher like Mrs. Abu. And her mother says, no, Folake, no. You are going to do better than us. You are going to earn more than us. You are going to be an engineer or a lawyer or a professor. You are going to be great. You are going to have a good job. You are going to live in a big house. Your children are going to go to bed. You are going to do much better. So you must pass your exams. You must study. You must get all A's. And Folake loves her parents. They are her parents. She wants to please them. So Folake does everything her parents want. She studies hard. She passes her exams. She's a straight A student. But Folake does not develop the talents, the resources, everything placed within her by God that makes her become an excellent teacher, what she has been programmed to be. And from the beginning, I explained that whenever you are stressed, what happens? Your heart rate beats very fast, your blood pressure increases, your blood sugar, and all those reactions. So those reactions with each stressor that Folake faces, when she is told she cannot be who she's supposed to be, she cannot do what she's supposed to do, all those are stressors. They are internal stressors. The stressors I mentioned earlier at the beginning, the economy, the rising cost of living, no light, no fuel, those are external stressors. The internal stressors are Folake's beliefs about who she is. She's programmed to be a teacher or a mango, and she's being trained and she's being conditioned, she's being programmed, she's being brought up to now become an orange tree, not what she's supposed to be. So these internal stressors are not obvious on the surface. At the beginning, whenever she's stressed, her blood pressure goes up, her blood sugar goes up, her heart rate goes up, but it comes back to normal. So it happens the first time, it comes back to normal. She's still growing, she's young, her body is resilient. And you know, even when you're ill or you have an injury, your body heals. So the same thing happens. Blood pressure, blood sugar, everything goes up, it comes down. But it happens repeatedly. And each time it happens, the blood pressure, the blood sugar, the heart rate stays high for a longer period. And you see, these are normal reactions in the body, but there are things that are sustained in hypertension, in diabetes, in psychological and some psychiatric disorders. So this is how social, the environment, the cultural, the social aspects of life influence or cause chronic diseases that we have today. So Folake goes to university, she becomes an engineer, she starts working for an oil company. And while she was at university, she met Yakubu. Yakubu read fine arts, and she tells her mom, I want to marry, I met this guy I want to marry, his name is Yakubu. And they say, Yakubu, where is he from? Kaduna. How? But he's not from our place. You can't marry somebody. Okay, what did he study? Fine art, fine art. We told you, we brought you up to become an engineer. You want to marry somebody that cannot take care. You have to marry according to your status. You cannot marry Yakubu. So Folake stays. And then, no, she can't find anybody. And they keep, when are you going to bring your husband? I need to see my grandchildren. Where is the husband? Where is the husband? Those two are stressors. And with each internal stress that keeps happening, Folake's blood pressure, Folake's heart rate, Folake's blood glucose levels are going up. They are not above, they are not above the level where it's normal and should be said to have diabetes or high, but it keeps going up. It's swinging. It's going up and coming down. So when she doesn't bring a husband, they say, okay, we'll bring a husband for you, in the interest of peace. Okay. She gets married. She has her first child. She has the second child. And while she's pregnant for the second child, her blood sugar is high. They ask her to, go on diet, do some things, and she watches it. After she has the baby, the blood sugar goes back to normal. But the stressors are still there because Folake is now living a life that is not her life. That is not what she was destined to be. That is not part of her purpose. And Folake doesn't understand what is going on. She's not happy. So she looks for things that will make her happy. And this is where habits, as our personalities are part of our internal stressors, whether you are quiet or you are noisy, or you are boisterous, you are the lively type, you want to be the life of the party, you want to always have people around you. If your life doesn't align with who you are, then that is a stressor. Your beliefs come from your experiences, your upbringing, your education, your religion, your culture. If, for instance, you say you want to be an architect, and where you come from, they say it is only men that can be architects. Apologies to the men, but I just use architects, and it's only men that can be architects. And this is your purpose, and you can't do it. That is a stressor. Okay, so Folake is not happy, and when people are not happy, they form coping mechanisms. Your beliefs drive your coping mechanisms. I can't do it, I'm not happy. Okay, let me look for something that will make me happy. So there are good habits, there are bad habits. A lot of the time, when a habit is driven by something negative, then it becomes a bad habit. So this is where addictions come. People start smoking, they start drinking, social media, they are always on their screens, because they are looking for ways to make themselves happy, to take their minds off the things that are making them unhappy. One of the commonest ways women especially make themselves happy is with food. And I'll explain why. When you are a baby and you are crying, or when you have a baby and the baby is crying, what is the first thing, what is the commonest thing they say the baby should do? Breastfeed, isn't it? Once the baby is suckling and the baby is happy, you know, the baby is with the mother is cuddling the baby and holding the baby, everything. So from when we are babies, we associate food and eating with that time, that cuddling sensation, that suckling when we were breastfeeding and we were happy. So a lot of women go to food when they are unhappy. Okay, now we're still on Folake's story. So Folake is unhappy. She doesn't sleep well. She has headaches. She can't really say what the problem is, but she doesn't like her life. And she keeps getting reminders because that DNA, those genes, that programming is still in her, and she is not living in her purpose. So when she sees people doing things that she would love to do, she remembers. When she sees people she knew maybe from childhood, her childhood friends, those children she used to play with and she used to teach, she'll remember. Now Folake has children. When she goes to drop her children in school and she sees their teachers and she remembers, when I was 5, I wanted to be a teacher like Mrs. Abu. She remembers. So those things that remind her of her purpose, remind her, because they kindle the genes in her and the purpose, and remind her that you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. But Folake is having headaches. She's not sleeping well. Her blood pressure is high now. Her blood sugar is high now. She goes to hospital. She does all manner of tests. They do the scans and everything. The pain she's having in her stomach, they cannot find anything wrong. And they tell her, you need to take your medicines, you need to exercise, all the things, you need to eat a healthy diet. But Folake has no motivation to keep to those things. She can't, because she doesn't love her life. She doesn't love what she's doing. And so she has no motivation. And that is why a lot of people cannot keep healthy habits. When you love something, when you treasure it, you take care of it. You are motivated. There is no mother that loves her child that cannot walk into fire for that child. But if you do not love your life, you do not love what you're doing, there's no motivation, so you cannot keep to it, because these are things you need to do every day. So Folake takes her medicines for 3 months and says, I'm tired of taking medicine, I'm not taking again. I'll start a diet. She starts a diet, she diets for 4 weeks and then stops. Then she goes to enroll in a gym, but she doesn't go. The enrollment passes. So how do you embrace a healthy lifestyle? First things first, first principle, go back to basics. Who are you? What are you? Are you a mango tree? Are you an orange tree? Are you a banana? Who are you? Who did God create you to be? You know this by the things you like doing, the things you enjoy doing, the subjects you love, the hobbies not the ones they told you that you should do because that is what is acceptable, or that is what is fashionable, or that is what we do. No, you are not we, you are you, and you are uniquely created. So what are the things you love? Who are the people you admire? The people you admire are a guide to the kinds of professions or the kinds of jobs you want to do. So the things you do not like, the things you do not want, that is the guide to what is not right for you. Once you identify who you are, where you should be, in case that is not where you are at now, then it is your health. Most times, by the time we find out that we're diabetic or we're hypertensive or we have depression or whatever, we are already rooted in a place where that is not part of our purpose, that is not part of what we should be doing, and that is where you are not motivated. So you need to find first a way to get motivated, and one way is back to basics. Who
Dr. Barbara, please go ahead. Dr. Barbara.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Dr. Barbara. You're back. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So now, because you know where you are headed, where you are going, you have a motivation, but you need help to keep track. And that is what we do at Innova Health Resources. We have an app, a diabetes app called Soyo. It's on a Google platform. It's good for managing diabetes and hypertension, but more on diabetes because diabetes is more difficult to manage. So what does the app do? It helps you plan your health journey. You need to know, this is where I am, this is where I'm going. What are the, please mute your yourself if you're not unmuted. You need to know what health numbers do you need to keep track of. You need to keep track of your blood pressure, you need to keep track of your blood sugar, you need to keep track of your weight. By the time you're an adult and you joined WIMBIZ, your height is already stable, but you need to know your height as well. And then you need to keep track of your body mass index. Why are you keeping track of these things? When you your bank account, if you get an alert that money has left your bank account, won't you go and check what is wrong? You immediately go and check what is wrong because you are interested in your money. That money now is your treasure. You need to keep track of these numbers so that you keep track of your health. And for these numbers, you're not looking at what is reducing. You're looking at, is there any point in my life when it is increasing? Because that tells you that stress is beginning to set in and cause a problem. And it is like, you can keep a notebook, but it's easier nowadays to use an app, and that is why we developed that app. So you need to know those numbers, you need to keep track, and you need to keep motivated. Remember, you're coming from a place where you are not motivated. With the app, you have a daily schedule that lists out the different tasks you need to do for your health for each day. And it might be difficult to keep to it every day, but when you start, you do day one, you did everything. You're like, I did everything today. Day two, I did everything today. Day three, you now begin to get excited because you see that you're making progress, and then you see the change in your numbers. So it is possible to embrace a healthy lifestyle. It is possible. It may be difficult at first, but you can overcome and you can do it. And the first step is knowing who you are. The second step is planning your health journey and keeping to it. Thank you for listening to me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barbara. Please, let's applaud Dr. Barbara. Let's celebrate her. Let's recognize her. Let's appreciate her. Thank you so much, Dr. Barbara. While you were speaking, I was taking a lot of notes. Can you see my notes? A lot.
Wow.
If I start reading everything I took out here, I'll just eat into the time for the Q&A. But I'm just going to share one or two things that resonated for me. She said, how to embrace a healthy lifestyle. It is in your purpose. We must find our purpose. What is our calling? When you are living your purpose, you will live a healthy lifestyle and you will not be stressed. She also said that we need to manage stress so we don't come down with chronic diseases. Did you get that? She said when you are stressed, your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises. So they are both internal and external stressors. We know that in Nigeria, it appears that the external stressors are more. But thank you so much, Dr. Barbara. It's been amazing, listening to you. So we go straight into the Q&A, session. We have 5 minutes for the Q&A sessions, and we have a couple of questions in the chat. And if you want to ask directly, please raise up your hand so that we can, spotlight you to ask the questions directly. So, Dr. Barbara, the first question I'm going to be throwing at you is, someone says, I started having heart palpitations after my mom died. It graduated to chest pains every once in a while. I've done ECG, but no root cause known. Does it mean mourning or bereavement could have triggered all I have been going through?
So yes, mourning and bereavement is a stress. It is a huge stress, especially if you were really close to your mom, or if, sometimes there are unfinished business between parents and children. So maybe for people that had issues with their parents, there are some people like that. And when the parent dies, they suddenly realize that there were things I wanted to say, or there were things I wanted to ask, I didn't get the chance to do, and the person is gone. If the person is someone you're really close to, it marks, a sudden end. No matter how old you are, when you lose a parent, it's deep. The pain and the hurt is deep, and you need to grieve and get over it. And this is not, it takes different time frames for different people depending on where you're at. So if it's a parent that was very close, that was supportive, that provided psychological support or social support, it's also more difficult. You miss them a lot. But there's a grieving process, and it's possible to get to a place where it's not that painful anymore. Okay, so yes, loss of a parent is a huge, huge, huge stress. Death is a huge stress, a huge external stress.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Barbara. I have another question here. Please, if you want to ask your questions directly, please just raise up your hand so that we can pick you or call you. Dr. Barbara, someone says, does it mean we can have stress factors that we are not aware of? How do we identify them?
So that is a huge one. But yes, you can have stress factors that you are not aware of. And there are so many stress factors, and they are so different. It depends on who you are, where you are at, your upbringing, your beliefs, your education, your experiences. So what is a stress for A might not be a stress for B. What I'll say is the signs that you are stressed, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, those ones you may not know, but at least you know when your heart rate is, your heart is beating very fast. So start watching what you were thinking before your heart started beating fast. That is a pointer to what is giving you stress. And then when you notice it, you have to ask yourself, why am I afraid when I think of this? What about this is scaring me? Because it means for you, for some reason, you believe that that thing you are thinking about at that time is harmful to your well-being, or something about it is harmful. So anytime you experience those palpitations, the fast heartbeat, go back. What were you thinking about? That's the connection.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Barbara. We're still expecting a live question. Anybody would like to ask your question directly? And do remember that you can always pick up information about Dr. Barbara, Dr. Tony from the chat. We have the Google, I think the Google address where you can get the Soil app for checking, the Soil app for checking your vitals and all that. All right. Like I said earlier, if you want to ask a direct question, fine. Otherwise, Dr. Barbara, I have another question for you. Please, can diabetes lead to kidney disease? If yes, kindly explain the link.
Yes, diabetes can link to kidney disease, and that is because diabetes affects your blood vessels all over the body. When someone is diabetic, their blood sugar is high, and the blood sugar passes through all the blood vessels in the body. So it affects the blood vessels. The kidneys do not get enough blood, and the kidneys gradually become damaged. It can also damage other organs in the body that way. So that is the link between diabetes and kidney disease, but it does it gradually over like 5 to 10 years. It's not sudden.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Barbara. So we have Nweke. Please go ahead with your question. Your hand is raised. Go ahead with your question. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Am I permitted to make a contribution apart from a question?
Okay, just keep it very brief. Very brief.
Okay, so yes, so what she said about your purpose is like running on your own lane in a race. So when you're on your own lane and not in another person's lane, life is much easier. So I wanted to add practices like consciousness or meditation help us to run in our own lane, because a lot is happening in our country now. A lot of people may mistake another person's lane for theirs. So that causes stress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nne. You know, I said we're all here to learn from each other. Thank you for sharing. All right. At this point, this is the much we can take. You can actually engage with Dr. Barbara outside of this session. Her contact details are in the chat. We're going to be proceeding on the 5 minutes bathroom break. We'll be back at 4:06. See you at 4:06. Don't forget to get a cup of water, stretch, and let's be back at 4:06. Thank you.
All right.
Hello, Saki. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Mute your microphone, please mute your mic.
Sorry, hold on 1 minute.
You're welcome back. Are we back? You're welcome back from the break. Let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back. We still have exciting, information to glean from our last presenter for today. Welcome back from the session, from the 5 minutes break. I hope you had some time to at least take a deep breath, stretch, take a cup of water, or even a glass of coffee. All right, welcome back, welcome back. If you're back, please go to the chat and say, I'm back. I need to know that you're back. If you're back, go to the chat, say, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm better. If you're back, please say, I'm back, I'm better. Go to the chat. Let's see, I want to see the chat buzzing. Yeah, great. Yeah. That's how we do it. Thank you. Welcome back. Well, so we are fully back now because I can see the chat. I love Dr. Ajayi. She's even showing me her beautiful cup of coffee. All right, welcome back, everyone. Okay, so we'll go straight into our last session for today. I'm sure you've been having fun, a lot of mind shifts and all that. So our last session for today, we'll be looking at nutrition and dietary guidelines. For our last session for today, just to reiterate, we'll be looking at nutrition and dietary guidelines, and this will be taken by Mrs. Agatha Achindu. Agatha Achindu is a wellness architect focused on helping her audience find a clear path towards what matters most, a long and fulfilling life. As the founder of Unprocessed, as the founder of Life on Process, a boutique wellness coaching and consultancy, Agatha helps clients uncover, unlearn, and unleash their unique and optimal lifestyle design. So, dear participants, please join me as we welcome Mrs. Agatha Achindu to do us the honors of sharing from her wealth of experience. Agatha, if you can hear me, please, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nkechi. Thank you for having me. I am super excited to be here. One of the things that you guys can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Go ahead, we can.
The first thing that I really want to talk about is why this is so important, what WIMBIZ is doing, bringing women together to talk about nutrition. Because of course, women, we are the caretaker in a sense. We are the ones who make nutritional choices at home, which means directly and indirectly, the health of our families is in our hands. So the choices that we make every day doesn't just impact us, impacts our family, and eventually impacts our community. So this is a very important piece. There is an adage that I want to start with. I want to make sure I do justice to it that says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. If you educate a woman, you educate a family and a nation. This is how important what we are doing today is. While there are a couple of major pillars that affects your everyday health, like of course, stress, exercise, relationship, mental health, internal and environmental toxins. Diet is the most important one. How you eat is literally how you are going to age. It's how you live. And I cannot stress enough the importance of the everyday choices that you make. I am going to move. There is a question that was sent to me that I should really focus on because I live in Atlanta. Of course, I was born in Nigeria, and I go home enough and understand some of the health challenges that's facing some of us women, mothers at home, from anemia, from hormonal challenges, from cancer, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, that Dr. Barbara just talked about. What is really important that I want you to make a note of, all these things that I've listed, these chronic diseases are things that the way you eat and the lifestyle choices you make directly impacts it. This is the good news. It doesn't matter where you are on your health and wellness journey. When you consistently start providing your body with the mind, body, and spirit nourishment that it needs to thrive, your body would start healing. type 2 diabetes. How you eat every day matters. There isn't a cure technically, because there is no medication. You have to manage it, but you can heal yourself from it. And I'm going to share a story of a client who was on medication for 20 years, what we did. But you can heal yourself from a lot of these chronic diseases. It's going to take you invested time. With hormonal imbalances, I am going to use myself and really drive home how important nutrition is. I am going to be 57 years old in a couple of months. I've never had a hot flash. I've not had a lot of the challenges that would come with menopause. Though you hear it so much, like, oh, I have hot flash, brain fog, I have all these things. It doesn't have to, that shouldn't be, as we would say, your ministry. You can change all these things by how we eat. And truly, we have been blessed in Africa with an abundance of food. But this is the tricky part with how wealth sometimes can be a good thing and not so good thing. Because today, back at home, for a lot of us with a little bit of money, we want to eat the Western diet. But that's the problem, because the Western diet is not life-sustaining. If you've ever looked up the standard American diet, which is, the acronym is SAD, Standard American Diet, it's so overly processed. It's why we're leading the world with so many diseases. You can make a change. How you cook food, how you eat really matters. So I'm going to talk about, let's look at some of the few changes that you can make. And I'm also going to talk about the things that really impacts in general, because we're all bio-individuals. So what impacts A might not impact B, but there are some borderline general stuff that goes. So things that really impacts your health. The oil that you use to cook. Every time I go home, I cringe and I scream. I'm like, where can I stand and really start talking to people about the dangers of these vegetable oils that they are using that's causing so much inflammation in the body. The corn oil, the canola oil, these oils have been tied to almost any and every disease because of the amount of inflammation that it causes. The ratio of omega-6 and omega-3 is what? It's so high in omega-6. When you hear about vegetable oil, by default, think of soybean oil, think of corn oil, think of all these other seeds, oils. If you take corn and squeeze it in your hand will never be oily. So think about the process that it goes through to become oil and why it becomes so toxic to the body. Unlike if you take palm nut, the palm kernel, you squeeze in your hand. You take avocado, you squeeze in your hand. You take peanuts, you squeeze in your hand, you would get oil in your hand because those are real oils. So oil is something that really impacts your health, like in a big way. Packaged food for a lot of women who suffer from hormonal imbalance, there are a host of things, but I want to mention one thing that's you might even overlook in your home. When you're eating the foods in cans, especially things that you would order from this part of the world, those cans are lined with BPA. They are immune disruptors. I mean, you eat it every day. It's sardines, it's tomato, it's package this, package that. Those things, the lining BPA that's lined in it is bad for our health. Meat. The way I talk about meat when I'm talking to somebody at home and somebody right here in my American home, it's a bit different because we have better quality meat at home. So I'm not talking about the fact that the meat here is bad for our health in the sense that cow, for example, eats grains, which that's not one, it's not the food they're supposed to eat. But the grain, instead of them eating grass, creates inflammation in their body. The level of omega-3 and omega-6 is unbalanced. So there is so much more of the omega-6, which we don't need in our body. So if we eat the meat, you consume all of that. But the difference at home, we have good quality meat, at least for a lot of places. But I'm noticing that there is a trend. We're trying to do the industrialized farming, which is a whole different topic. The problem at home is quantity. The amount of meat serving that you need in a day for an adult woman, I would say about half of my phone is about 4 ounces. But we eat so much meat. It causes inflammation in the body. Because when you have so much fat, when you have so much meat in your body, you don't have enough space. You have one stomach. You don't have enough space to eat vegetables, grains, all this produce that's bursting with life-sustaining nutrients, all those phytonutrients that your body needs to heal. That's one thing with the beef. So if you can reduce, I'm not saying become a vegetarian or a vegan. When you have your plate, how our great-grandparents used to eat. I remember growing up, meat was the little side on the plate because meat was expensive. But now meat is not as expensive. So people would eat too much. It's not good for you. That's something that really impacts. And I think Dr. Barbara talks about stress. Stress impacts your health. It doesn't matter how healthy you eat. From a holistic perspective, if you're not managing stress, it impacts your everyday health. The medication that you take is something that causes inflammation in your body because it can, depending on what it is, everything, when you see all these medications, it has side effects. Those things impact your body. So if, for example, if you take an antibiotic, after the antibiotic, because the antibiotic, when you take antibiotic, it does magic. It does good work. The side of it, the bad side of it is, it doesn't know how to separate, oh, these are the good bacteria. Let me leave it and just take the bad bacteria. If you understand that over 70% of our immune system lies in our gut. So if the gut is not healthy, everything is like a house of cards. Everything kind of break down. Parts that you use at home. I see a lot of the Teflon parts at home. Those pots that are, Teflon is the popular brand name, but those non-stick parts, those parts, if you go to the World Health Organization, WHO, I mean, they've done a ton of studies, how those parts, the PUFAs, the thing that is used to line, sometimes you cook, you see those, it scratches off. The question you can ask yourself, if you look at your pot and the metal is peeled, where does it go? you're eating this metal, it disrupts. I mean, it really challenges health all the way. It's all the way to the cellular level. So those are some major things that those are really major things that you can pay attention to that impacts your health. But then, how does culture impact how you eat and the choices that you make every day? Social media, the World Wide Web, has some wonderful benefits and also have the dark side, because it's made the world a very small place, like something you can hold in your hand. Because you are in Nigeria, it's almost like you're living in America. You're looking at all the foods, you're looking at all the models, people looking skinny, people looking this. And it's almost like, oh, I want that. And they believe that that food over there is even better than yours, which is so wrong, because our food, our cultural food, how it used to be made, are just super healthy. But as life changes, we're trying to go where Americans are running away from, because we know today how overly processed food impacts health. When I went home, I think 2 or 3 Christmases ago, my friend brought her kids over to our home and had Indomie. And I'm like, whoa, why are you giving the kids that? The kids love Indomie. I'm like, take a look at the label. Honestly, there is no real food in it. So if your kid eats this thing every day, you can, or if you eat it every day, you can really just sit back and count when they are going to get sick. But I want to tell you, I want to share how powerful the human body is. So a client of mine who had been on high blood pressure medication for 20 years, and she was okay, because she's been told that there is not a cure for high blood pressure medication, and she took this. But nobody told her that the side effect after using that medication for so long is going to be her kidney is going to start having problems. So when she came to me, her kidney markers, her doctors, she had to go see, I mean, it was just crazy. We started walking, and I told her, I said, listen, there is so much money in sickness care. Nobody is telling anybody that whether it's type 2 diabetes, whether it's high cholesterol, whether it's high blood pressure, all these chronic diseases, any disease that comes about because of how you eat and the lifestyle choices you're making, you can get rid of it by how you eat and the lifestyle choices you're making. But nobody will tell you, because there is so much money in maintenance care that every month you are on medication. Anyway, for 8 months, we worked. I changed how she ate, how she slept, her exercise, everything. The first time in 20 years that she went for 3 weeks without taking a high blood pressure medication, she called me, she cried. She's like, it's never happened. Today, as I talk to you, her kidney markers are perfect. She's not on medication. So if you are suffering, whether it's type 2 diabetes, whether it's high cholesterol, whether it's high blood pressure, you can heal your body. You have to be ready to make the lifestyle choices, to make changes in your diet. We have amazing food at home. We have a ton of vegetables. You don't have to sit and eat a bowl of rice without any vegetable, because then at the end of the day, you're just having sugar. because rice digests to starch and starch is sugar. These are little changes that you can make at home. So instead of buying groundnut oil, instead of buying vegetable oil, because so it's an upgrade if you're using the soy oil, the corn oil, use palm oil, use coconut oil, olive oil. If you have the money to afford it, it's good oil. Use tallow. Tallow comes from cow, that's the fat. Use lard. I grew up, my grandmother would make palm oil at home. Today in America, I still cook with palm oil. I've shared that information over and over and over. But before you jump to eat someone else's diet, take a look at your own food and see the different ways that you can make changes to it for it to be better. And I also know that for some people, socioeconomic status can really hinder the choices that you make. This again is the downside of social media, because we all want to eat the packaged food, like, oh, that's what looks nice. But you can grow food. You can make your own food instead of eating like the box cereals. And I've shared, I've presented all the way to the US Congress on this thing on nutrition. It's frustrating when I come home and I'm like, oh, we are going to where we're trying to run away. Pap Akamo is better for your child than box cereal because it's fermented food. It comes with probiotics. That's good for your gut flora. I wanted to mention, because I saw on the note that WIMBIZ had sent to me about a problem that a lot of women face at home, which I know our daughters will be going through, is iron deficiency. I really want to talk, I want to share a little light, because I know that a lot of people would do needle milk, all these things. If you have problem with iron and you're taking iron supplements, the one thing that you cannot do, please listen to me and carry this wherever you go and share it. You cannot do dairy. When you take calcium, which is what is in the milk, what we are asked to use the milk, it inhibits your body. It stops your body from absorbing iron. So the two don't mix. If you want iron, you have to stop doing milk. I don't know how many minutes I have left. I didn't put my timer. I can, on this topic, I can go from today to tomorrow because it's such an important one. But I don't want to leave making you feel as if, oh my God, this is doom. Here is what I need you to keep in your mind. Your body has the capacity to heal. It doesn't matter what anybody tells you. Your body, when provided the mind, body, and spirit nourishment that it needs, would heal. I have seen people come from the worst to the best. Even if you're not 100%, when you start doing the right things for your body, and especially when it comes to food, there is an immediacy. That's how powerful food is. When you eat, you can immediately feel the food that works for you. What works for me might not work for you. So even when I'm working with my client, it's very individualized. And for anybody who is here, who works, who offers counseling, nutrition counseling, please remember, if you say, for example, you have 3 clients, one is coming from the north, one is coming from Eastern Nigeria, one is coming from West. You are going to talk to them completely different when it comes to food. Because food truly is not the enemy. How we eat it, how we process it, is the problem. And how the things that makes us happy is important. The food that we grew up eating is an important part of us. So when you see all the trends about weight loss, about this, stuff, this and that, the reason that these businesses are making the money they make, and they can never go out of business because it doesn't work. Generation upon generation come and make the same mistake. Dieting doesn't work because it's not sustainable. So if you're talking from somebody, you always have to start. Tell me the things that makes you happy. What are the foods you grew up eating? And it's different from the person from the north, from the person from the south, from the person from the west. And then you really say, okay, let's see, tell me what you eat in a day. Oh, you know, we can take this much meat out and we can add beans, or we can add more vegetable. I see on social media, this is the good side of social media now. I would see a pot of egusi stew, egusi soup that somebody will cook at home and put on social media. And I'm telling you, the meat, the particulars that I would see in that soup, I can use in my house for 3 months. Your body
Thank you.
cannot process that much meat. But I'm I'm grateful to be here. I hope somehow I've inspired you to think a little bit about what you eat.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Achindu. I'm sure if we allow you, we'll just keep going on and on and on and on. But we just have to go straight into the Q&A. We'll have a lot of questions in the chat. But let's appreciate Mrs. Agatha Achindu for this insight. Honestly, there's nothing like what you eat. You know, there's something that resonated with me. She said, how you eat is how you're going to eat and age. That is very, very critical. Thank you so much, Mrs. Achindu. So we'll go straight into the Q&A because we have less than 8 minutes to the end of this program. So the first question for you is, can you please emphasize the relationship with diet and inflammation? Is there really a relationship between your blood group and the types of food we eat, e.g., blood group O positive should eat more protein and vegetable and avoid foods like plantain, corn, peanut, avocado, and all that? Do you get the question?
Yes, I do. I mean, there are all type of food philosophy, like different ways that you need to eat. Those complexity is truly, except in the instance where you have a medical condition, it's not important because that just adds unnecessary stress. I see people taking off major food groups. Oh, don't eat carbs, don't eat. Your body needs all these different food groups. The quality of the food groups is what matters. When we talk about inflammation, there are so many things that causes inflammation in your body, and food is one of them. Environmental toxins, stress, when your cortisol is up, it causes inflammation in your body. But because we're talking about food causes inflammation. And unfortunately, inflammation is truly the root cause for a lot of chronic diseases. If you take your hand and start tracing to go to the root causes, you would see there is some level of inflammation. And inflammation is not like you have a fire burn. Or it's not only from when you're stressed that your heart palpitates. Your body can be going through this from medication, something that's supposed to be good that you take. Remember, I talked about the, antibiotics, how it impacts the body. So inflammation, so many things does. Food, I mentioned oil, that's a big one. We've been made to believe that butter, real butter, is not good. And then we use margarine. If there is one thing that I would really pray that you take out. I did a document about oils when I wrote my cookbook. It was something that my publisher gave for people who pre-order the book. So I'm going to see how it might be I can get it from them and just give it to WIMBIZ to give it to you guys when it comes to oil. So you can really look at the good oils, the bad oils, because this is a big one since we cook a lot.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Achindu. We have Rukayat and please, Ruka, make it very snappy with your question because we're practically running out of time. And so, Ruka, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much, the speaker. My question is quick. Your cookbook, Bountiful Cooking, is it available? Because I tried to buy it right now, but I see that it's only hard copy. Is it possible that we can get access to the e-copy? That's my question.
Yes, you should. If you, on Amazon, there is.
It's only for Kindle, just outside of Kindle.
Yeah, okay, no, those are the two. For us, okay. Electronic is Kindle.
All right, thank you, Benita. Please go ahead with your question, please. You're muted.
Sorry, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Well done. Thank you so much. I was just going to ask, what do you advise for somebody who just did a gut reset challenge, 21 days gut reset, and now gets down with cramps, like terrible cramps? Okay. What do you advise? Yeah, and she just rounded up a gut challenge.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I'm not sure what gut challenge you did. I would say if the biggest thing you can do is start eating more fiber-rich foods. So more plants and reduce your meat, because your goal, the whole thing about gut challenge is, I'm hoping that it's the same gut challenge like I would do with my clients, is to repopulate your gut flora. That's the big deal. So a lot of beans, a lot of vegetable, a lot of fruits, and itty bitty meat if you have to eat it.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Achindu. This is the much that we can take with questions. Mrs. Achindu's contact is in the chat, how to get her ebooks and everything. If you want to engage with her further, please, by all means, you can reach out to her. Her contact is in the chat. Once again, thank you so much to all our amazing speakers. And it's been nice anchoring this session as I hand the session over to Precious Majekodumi, Programs and Membership Manager, WIMBIZ, for the announcements and the closing remarks. Thank you, everyone. Precious, over to you. Bye.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Wow, what an insightful session it has been. My name is Precious Majekodumi, just as our anchor has said. I serve as the Programs Manager at WIMBIZ. Thank you for joining today's session, which has really been eye-opening. Today's session happens to be our very first program for the year, and we are glad that everyone could make it. As we have over 200 attendees on this call. We hope that you've been able to take away key learnings and just using them to, as the topic has said, embrace a healthy lifestyle. We say a big thank you to our sponsor, Bridge Clinic, for supporting us. We couldn't have done this without you. A very big thank you to our speakers, from Dr. Toyin to Dr. Barbara, Mr. Chindu. We thank you for making time to be here today and just impacting us with, this nuggets that we're able to take back. And to our anchor, who has been nothing but fantastic, Mr. Kechi, we say a very big thank you. We appreciate you. Few announcements. As you know, feedback is very important to us. It allows us to improve on programs like this, take them back and serve you better. And so the HQ will be dropping evaluation questions, the evaluation link in the chat box for you to fill. We understand that not everyone is able to fill, and so the link will be sent in a follow-up email to everyone. We want you to hear about your opinion. We encourage you to please fill so that we're able to do what we do for you. We also kindly invite attendees who are interested in becoming members. You see, our members, they enjoy benefits such as this. You get to hear from experienced speakers and just to be able to take it back and be better. We invite you to apply. And of course, the link would be dropped in the chat box. You can also visit our website, www.wimbiz.org, to apply to become a member today. Induction comes up in April, and so hurry now so that you can be part of those who will be inducted in April. Save the date, save the date. Yes, our very first WIMBIZ Associate e-learning, which is another program that our members get to enjoy. It's coming up next Tuesday, February 27, 2024. It's our very first e-learning for the year, and we've gotten great testimony and feedback from our members. Registration is free. We encourage everyone to apply and fill the form, register, and to attend. Of course, the month of March is popularly known as the month of women, to celebrate women. And this year's theme is Inspire Inclusion. The 2024 International Women's Day campaign is starting. We made a call inviting our members, just to have that campaign. Of course, the campaign is starting on March 1st. We encourage you to just, check our social media pages or our platforms, and just to, to contribute to it. Registration for the Women on Board mentoring program, WIMBOD, has begun. We ask you to click on the registration link, which is also dropped in the chat box. Please click on it to apply. It's a 3-month mentoring program for women who aspire to be on boards or already serving on boards. You just want to have that experience. I kid you not, it's a wonderful experience, and we encourage you to join. For those who want to get more information about that, you can send us a mail at wimbodmentoring@wimbiz.org or wimbiz@wimbiz.org. To register for all of our upcoming programs, we kindly ask you to click on the link that will be dropped in the chat box, or just visit our website, www.wimbiz.org, to register. And just follow us across all of our social media platforms, from Facebook to LinkedIn to profile to YouTube, forgive me, WIMBIZ NG on Instagram, at WIMBIZ on Twitter, or at X, as we know it to be right now. We thank you all for joining us today, and we wish you a good evening. Thank you very much.